Go ahead.
Taylor Swift has people behind her.
Thank you, Sonny.
Hey, Ron, what is the next step you want to see the defense take this week that they can improve on? JT Tuimoloau said everything.
Right. That's the way I feel too. I think
past that, go ahead.
I think it would say everything. Everything. Yeah. I mean, getting 3 and outs, getting off the field on third down. I mean, you can name everything. Every area of our game has got to improve across the board, and that's what we're looking at right now. We got a long road ahead of us, and we got to keep trying to find those inches.
Bill Rabinowitz over to the left.
Gabe Powers at the touchdown last week. How much of a springboard could that be? What did you see from him this year?
Well, I think for guys to actually do it in a game, it can build confidence and just say, okay, I can do it in a game now because I've actually done it, and hopefully that can build on his confidence to know that he needs to be a contributor for us, and we need to play as many guys as we possibly can. So plays like that make a difference, and we're going to need all these guys to play, and Gabe's a part of special teams as well, and so hopefully that can springboard and move forward.
Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle, to the left.
Right. We talked to Brandon Innes. What kind of a responsibility is that to be the team's punt return?
Well, anybody who carries the ball is really, the whole team is in their hands. So we talk a lot about ball security and how important that is, and the decisions that have to be made as a returner, certainly a punt returner in particular, are very critical. So these are very big decisions that he has to make on when to field it, when to fair catch it, when to return it, pooch situations, when to let it go for a touchback, these types of things in the battle of field position. So that's a big decision. Emeka's been back there in the past. So Brandon's someone that we trust, and we trust him for a lot of reasons. But he has to continually understand that the decisions he makes are going to affect our team's success in terms of the field position game. If he can continue to do and make decisions he made this past game and take care of the football, then he can be a weapon for us.
Andy Baxter, Letterman Row.
Yeah, Brian, you mentioned yesterday expecting more production from the tight end room going forward. Just were you speaking to involvement in the pass game? What does that look like to you?
Yeah, they're a big part of our offense, and I know they only got a couple targets this past game, but they'll get more targets than that. They've worked really hard. They'll continue to do that. They're involved in all phases, and you're seeing some of those guys. I think the unit's improving overall, and so you'll see more and more as the season goes on. More tight ends in the game in groupings, but also more involved with in terms of touching the ball.
Jeff Gilbert, Press Pros.
JT talked about Western Michigan physical up front. I thought they were pretty good. What are you seeing, and what's the challenge for your defense against that team this week?
Well, I think when you watch the film, you're seeing them play a Big Ten opponent, which gives us a little bit more of a barometer of what we're dealing with. And they played Wisconsin strong. They're physical up front, like you said. They do have some really good skill players. So, it looked like a Big Ten style of game just overall. And there was a point where that game was in the balance. And I know that has our guys' attention.
Austin Ward, the podcast.
Ryan, when Sonny was sitting there, he made it sound like moving to Mike was no big deal. What's your level of appreciation for what he did on short notice, but also just because we spent the last 9 months talking to him, learning Will, and then having to go over there, get the headset, the communication, run the defense, the whole deal. Like, I wonder if you can maybe pat him on the back more than he wanted to.
Right. No, he's a very serious young man for his age, very mature, and came in early. And because of all of that, he's matured even quicker than we could have thought. But to make that move from safety to linebacker, and then, like you said, making that jump, it shows the work that he's putting in off the field that nobody sees. And I think that's the part for a lot of our guys, especially when you're young. It's hard to appreciate, but all the work that gets put in just gives you a chance to go play. Without that hard work, you're not going to go perform the way that we all expect everyone to perform. And so Sonny has put it in the weight room. What he did with Coach Mick in the offseason was tremendous. So physically, he's put on the weight. He's done that part of it. But it's in the film room. It's working with James and the defensive guys in terms of extra film, watching it after practice, asking questions, I'll sit in on some of the linebacker meetings, and he's answering the questions. He's very, very involved in everything that goes on. And the other part of it was, as the Mike linebacker, you're communicating with the earpiece all the defensive calls. So he had that on his plate as well. So a good example of somebody who, and that's going to pay off down the road for him. But very versatile, and his ability to play multiple positions down the road just helps his overall value and his overall football IQ.
Bill Landis, Kings of the North.
Right, he said yesterday he thought Marvell probably earned a little more playing time with the way he performed on Saturday.
Yeah.
How far ahead is he of where you guys thought he might be, especially given that he didn't play linebacker last year? It's such a hard position, yet he seems to have taken to it.
Well, I think in year 2 is kind of that year where you like to see guys take strides, but he's still, he'll tell you that, he's still, there's things he's still working through, but he plays hard. He plays hard, and we can work with that. At the end of the day, we always say the coaches, we'll own the mistakes. You just got to play hard, and we'll coach you up, but we got to make sure we demand effort, and he does that. He goes really hard. So we can work with guys like that when they're giving great effort and they show physicality. The other stuff is going to come. I do think that he put him up the second half of last week, put the preparation he needed to in terms of off the field, which allowed him to play faster as well. We've talked about that before, how important that is. So he needs to continue to build on that routine, and then it just becomes now the consistency of doing that on a week-to-week basis. But if he does that, then he's going to play a lot of football this season.
Steve Hellwagen, 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Coach, just checking in on Cody Simon, Donovan Jackson. Have they practiced? Do you figure either one or both will play?
Yeah, they both practiced today, and they're both still day-to-day right now.
Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Brian, just following up on Brandon, I think when that guy got here, he probably envisioned a much different role for himself, much bigger role within the offense going into his second year. But obviously some things changed, but he seems to have very much embraced this punt return role. Having a guy like that embrace that type of a role where things maybe aren't going the way you thought they would go, what does that do for him in his career, maybe his development overall as a person and as a player?
No, I think he's done great. For somebody that came in last summer, even to get to where he was at midseason last year was tremendous. And he is going to be a big part of our offense this season. We're just getting going with that. But the great receivers we've had, they're very much involved with special teams, and he's done that already. But we're going to keep getting him in the game and try to find ways to get the ball in his hands, because not only is he a playmaker, but he's also got a great way about him. He's got a great energy about him. He's got a physicality, a toughness, a grittiness that is just contagious. And he's a guy you like to be around. And the guys really rally around him. So a big part of our offense this season.
And last question, Pat Murphy, Bucknuts.
Brian, when you have a debut like Jeremiah did, how do you respond next week and throughout the season to make that, I don't know, the norm, but to build on such an impressive debut?
Just working and just continuing to get better. There's some things in that game that he certainly wishes he had back, but also has had some good plays as well, and there's a lot to coach through there. But he's got a great work ethic, and if he just keeps practicing the way he's practicing out here, he goes and he goes and he goes, and he works hard. And now on a week-to-week basis, the game plan will change. There'll be tweaks along the way, different formation changes, different schemes, and so now you got to take a Tuesday and a Wednesday and put it on the field. Tuesday is first and second down. Third down in red zone is today. And so you get that meeting, and then you got to go put it on the field, and you only may get a few reps, during the week of that play in particular. And so that's a new experience that he's going to have to learn to do. But the work ethic's there, the attitude's there, and certainly the talent's there.
Great, Coach. Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.